Hey there, how's it going? What is up, everybody? Irish Orangutan is back to pass along what you need to know to get better at Madden and grow your Mutt team. Enjoy the show. Today we are talking about the no money spent team that I have been able to acquire. This is Sunday, 2 days after launch day, so very excited about what I've been able to put together. Definitely have been working through EA Access, but have been able to put together this team and can definitely knock out any challenge in solo. And as long as my scheme is halfway up there, can take on head to head as well. Have came across a couple people who have a tremendous scheme and have had a couple issues with them. Besides that, have been able to run the ball, pass the ball, do a terrific job in that regard. Let's get things kicked off with the linemen. Up front, Trent Williams, an absolute grab for me. Must grab that is. I really hope that he get things figured out with the Redskins and the training staff and is able to hang on there. But moving on to left guard, just going back to Trent Williams a second, I really do feel as if he's the best left tackle in the game. Bakhtiari, I believe, is rated higher, but can run block for crap. So definitely not someone you need to go after. There are not really any good left guards in the game. This is about as good as you're going to get, sadly, unless you go with Norwell, which is pure pass blocking. Alex Mack, one of the theme builders, able to get him boosted up a little bit. Tremendous run blocker there. Scruff, another player that is an absolute must grab for me. He is perfect at pulling and getting out in front of people. Something I wouldn't necessarily do if you are no money spent. For some stupid reason, I kept feeling like it was last year and felt like I needed the power ups for these players, but have powered up far too many players, so don't necessarily do that. Deerdorf is the one player I potentially would recommend powering up. There's a dearth of right tackles in the game, so he being this good is, I feel, almost a must grab. Just getting him up to 87 overall, just wait until you get extra training, I guess. Right now, it's valued quite high, so I would not necessarily recommend going all the way up to even necessarily 87, but up to 85. It's, I think, like around 890 trading total, so it is a little bit expensive, but definitely something within most price ranges. Moving on to the tight end position, I did focus mostly on run blocking here. Each of them, I believe, except for probably Kittle, have, no, he has over 75 as well, at least 75 run blocking. Kittle has 78. I do have Jordan Reed in the lineup as well, but he is slotted in at a slot wide receiver and has been doing a great job at that. Um, Moving on to the other wide receivers, if things will load. I did go out and get Golden Tate. It a little bit hurts to have so many NFC East players on my team that are not necessarily Redskins at this point, but with Tate, if you go over and activate him in your lineup, we'll be bringing out a video going over how to do this a little bit more exclusively and have had Mahomes on my team so recently do not have him quite in, but I have Golden Tate in with the Superstar X Factor, and he comes in stock if you do load him in for no cost over there on the right with Slot Apprentice, and he's also has ability to run things a little bit quicker from that position. So both those things allow you to run more routes and just win at that position more often. So I would recommend him. He is quite pricey, but if you want to test out those X Factor abilities, that is a good way to do it. And besides that, at wide receiver, I definitely need to build more. I think I've talked about this in the past, but Tyreek Hill, Marcus Goodwin, Brandon Cooks, and Torrey Holt. Torrey Holt, just because he is that level master, I need to level grind. That is something that I'm going to work on today. I've been working the market, building my team, and trying to do a little bit of head-to-head more than I did last year. Hasn't gone quite as well as I'd hoped. Won my first two and then took 3 losses in a row. So just the way that works, but just wanted to get in at least 5 games. I did get desynced out of one other one or dashboarded, so that was a little bit disappointing, but that ended one season, so definitely a poor one to start off, but definitely learning and very excited about where the team is right now, especially at the wide receiver position with their speed, but I really want a Michael Thomas and a Torrey Holt that's a little bit better. At the halfback position, I was fortunate enough to get that Jim Brown. I did let y'all know how to get him through Twitch Prime. Just had to go in and accept him. Philip Lindsay and Jim Brown are currently being used for my X Factor abilities as well. It is fun to go in some easier solos and just get them all the way maxed up, and then they're they're pretty much unstoppable for that, but just get 3 10-yard gains and don't get tackled for a loss, and they become very, very dangerous out of the backfield. And the third running back that I have is Christian McCaffrey. I did have the 82 overall version of him, and in the first game of head to head, I noticed how slow he was, kind of compared to some other people, even though Jim Brown was his and is his same speed that the 82 overall player was. Just McCaffrey's hands out of the backfield is absolutely dangerous, and I really love his agility because you can just slow run like you would with Le'Veon Bell, and then just make that quick cut and hit the hole a little bit quicker than some of my other running backs would. And at fullback, I have a tight end as the backup, pretty good lead blocker. And if one of these 3 tight ends get tired and I'm wanting to run the ball and I'm finding that's effective, definitely will bring in Austin Sharif. Man, I really need to work on his last name. That was one of the first ones that Safarian Jenkins. There we go. Austin Safarian Jenkins. I heard that before, but I just couldn't put the two together. Um, yeah, he's got nice run blocking, lead blocking, and impact blocking is pretty solid as well. And he's pretty solid tight end at 77 speed, 75 catching, and being 6'5". Do have some obvious budget players still on my team, but with Hunter Henry and Trey Burton, they're actually some of the best run blockers in the game. I know Perkins is a very good option there as well, and actually would be a better run blocker than Henry and Burton, but dropped a couple passes that I was a little bit frustrated with. Probably was because I didn't throw it to him open, but that is my own issue. Going next up to Ricard, I just have him listed as blocking fullback on my little sheet of paper here because I had no idea what his name was, honestly, until I pulled it up again. But he is an absolute blocking phenom. He's slower than some of my linemen, so he's not going to get out there on pitches. So that may be something that makes him not long for my team, but I feel as if I can slot him in at that second fullback, and if I really need to pound the ball out, I can run it with Jim Brown and him behind him and probably get those 1 or 2 yards just about every time. And at backup quarterback, we have Kyler Murray. Do have Baker Mayfield still on the team, but do not have him still quite yet. And I do have a little video of when I actually put together Mahomes, so we'll edit that in here. And as one of the major pieces to my team, I did kind of want to show you how Mahomes did get here. So I am finishing up the last little bit of him. I have heard there have been some issues with this set, so I do hope that is not the case. Do have a few extra. Selling these, of course, is very lucrative, so keep that in mind. Left guard and fullback are a little bit more lucrative than the rest, and they go a little bit quicker. So that could help you in that path when you are selling those off as well. But the main thing is we do have Patrick Mahomes if the set works. So not exactly sure where I'm going to edit that first part out, but as you did see, we only had 72 of the 73. We did figure out the one that we needed, Chubb, that I did quick sell so I could make some of those little guys earlier, but we do have Mahomes, and happy that we do now have him on our team and going to be in our lineup, leading our team on the field in head-to-head. I did start to notice some of the missed passes by Baker Mayfield that everyone had been talking about. Really is absolutely perfect for solos, but going into head-to-head and coming off last year when I've had a quarterback that can make pretty much every throw since the beginning of the year, this quarterback is going to help immensely. Very excited to see what he's going to be able to do with some of those superstar abilities, and just now need to figure out which halfback is not going to be lit up with that superstar. But Very excited we have Mr. Mahomes, and very excited I was able to share this on. So very excited again that we have the Patrick Mahomes. He is an absolute um, phenom, to be perfectly honest. Watching him on Twitch and also being able to play with him, you just notice in some of those mid passes that Baker was missing. You can pull up his back stats. With some of those throws, with the mid accuracy, it just took effect. Like just a couple of those things, Hill was missing with Baker Mayfield, and Hill was just catching up to, and it was just like perfect timing with Mahomes. So it is a significant difference between playing through what 20 solos at the probably minimum to be able to get Baker, maybe a few less than that. But for Mahomes, he's the poster boy. He's going to get more cards throughout the year. Cannot see the back of the card to show what particular abilities he does come with, but that is a huge upgrade as well. We can activate him right now. We'll get that switched out. So he has a bazooka. Of course, we have seen that. That was the first one that they came out and talked about. If he hits his plateau, he gets that 15 plus yards down the field. So that is pretty magnificent and a huge plus. Then the three things that he comes stock with as well: red zone deadeye, perfect pass accuracy while throwing in the red zone. So that is going to be absolutely wonderful. Safety valve, consistent catching from running backs who beat their coverage. So that's going to help with some of those halfbacks that may not have the best catching ability. Thankfully, I did go out and get some of them, but can work some of those lower ones into my scheme now. And a higher chance to break the first sack by blitzing defensive back. That is huge for a little bit of what is going on in head to head right now with some people blitzing the nickel and dime cornerbacks and safeties, so that is a huge plus for him as well, and a potential reason why you would want to go out and get him over Baker Mayfield. As you can see over on the right, before we get into the team, just have the two superstar X Factors here with Anthony Barr and Avery Williamson. These players are overvalued a little bit, potentially shouldn't be in my lineup. I should probably sell them, but I've had a lot of fun with both of them, and it's just kind of fun to test out the Superstar X Factors. I'm going to be wanting to bring out videos about those as well, so definitely need to understand them completely before I pass that information on to you. Honestly, with what I had heard in the past, I thought I had understood it completely, but just playing with it and you just understand some nuances a little bit better. But at free safety, I could not find one that I wanted that was halfway within my budget because all of them are double what they should be. I just moved Mel Blount there. Again, I have him partially powered up the same way I do with a Deerdorf. Not potentially the best idea, especially with how expensive trading is. But if you are on a no money spent team that is just grinding through challenges and solos, you don't necessarily need to power them up that much. Excuse me, he is my fifth cornerback as well, so he gets his ability that adds to the balance D, and I can hide people at corner and, kickoff specialist and, kickoff return specialist and punt return specialist for other cornerbacks potentially, and we'll show you that here in a little bit. So he drops from 87 to 80 overall. I do not understand completely what the differences would be on the field because normally for a cornerback and a free safety, they have similar things that they would have to do. Obviously, his press does not help him out nearly as much as the free safety, but you can man him up and do that man sort of thing up at the line, man press, gracious, and be able to shut them down. And you can do that for yourself if he's playing in that free safety position. Otherwise, he probably won't roll up that often. Playing him as a slot is another potential idea, but those are a lot harder to get covered up as well. Like I said, no free safeties that I could really find in my budget, so I have a Derwin James here. We can flip over to the other safety side. We have Ken Houston. Being a Redskin, I really did want this player. Put together his pieces, just tried to snipe those instead of just going for the one big snipe for his main card. And I feel as if I made him for about 40,000 less, so that was a huge, huge plus for me. And then really with that, I was able to do most of his power up for that price that I would have had to spend. To be honest, I already had his power up at 87 overall, so that difference was already accounted for. But I'm very excited about him on my team. Can look at the back of his card as well. 89 speed, 87 zone coverage. Wish his man was a little bit higher. Could work on that balance D to get that up to 80, but um, you'll be seeing him in a second. Denzel Ward with around that 80 man coverage is getting beat a little bit more frequently than I would like, so I might move him into the slot and have Patrick Peterson move more towards the outside. See if we can find a little bit better of a scheme fit for both of them. So since we started talking about the quarterbacks, Lattimore got through the Ultimate Trainers, really good deal there. Darius Slay, Theme Builder, need to work on his next elite. One of those things that I have marked off after I get a couple more wide receivers from the level grind and journey. Patrick Peterson, hopefully he gets upgrades this year. That is something that I'm a little bit nervous with. Almost all of the power-ups that I invested in, I was fairly certain they would be getting upgrades. Just that it depends on when they will potentially be getting those upgrades throughout the year. Cornerback, free safety, strong safety, all positions that I try to invest heavily in because those are things you're going to have six people behind you that greatly affect what you're able to do on the field, and you really need to have those be the elite players. So that is one thing that I focus on, and a reason that I would potentially power up people over not, especially at those positions. But really not a lot of great speed except for Marshawn Lattimore. Ward has actually take that back. For who's in the game right now, I'm pretty okay with my speed. 87, 89. Patrick Peterson only at 84, but Mel Blount at an 84 as well. Um, and Slay coming at 83, but obviously that'll get up more. With who's in the game, I can put Lattimore, Denzel Ward, and Houston on the faster players and just scheme around another one if they happen to have four. At the linebacker position, I really do like the way that Montez Sweat plays. Since I've gotten Anthony Barr, I feel a lot more comfortable playing at defensive end, who's a little bit quicker at this position. I would probably be playing Daniel Hunter here if I had the option between Deacon Jones, Daniel Hunter, and Myles Garrett. But position-wise, Deacon Jones definitely fits better on the line, and Garrett and him are both the right ends, and Hunter fits well at his left end position. If you play players out of position, in most regards, they drop their overall considerably. Thankfully, I was able to get this Montez Sweat relatively inexpensively, so that was a huge help also. He's got 82 speed, so he's absolutely phenomenal. I mean, that's two slower than some of the best defensive backs in the game. And then Shazier working on getting his next power up. That's just going to be through training, something I'll potentially do soon as well. Been able to make a really good amount of coins, so I've been able to make a lot of investments and not really feel bad about doing this too early and being concerned about that. Been able to make about 20,000 coins an hour, and then all of the games on top of that. So that is a huge, huge plus. And then here with Avery Williamson, again, one of those players that's probably a little bit overvalued to be on my team at this point. And Reuben Foster, Devin Bush. Haven't seen his X Factors light up that much. Just some secure tackling, I guess, from him and Anthony Barr has been pretty solid. And again, he's one of the best users in the game. If you played him up before, you kind of understand that he's one of those superstars kind of at that position. Then Kerrigan, love the man. Play him at right rush end and dime at nickel often, but at this time he's just a little bit slow for what I'm trying to do, so he doesn't see the field nearly as often as I would like. Then Jonathan Allen, excuse me, and Matthew Ioannidis. I tried to say Ioannidis halfway through Allen for some reason, and just a couple Redskins on the team. Don't really help out too much, but we're going over those a little bit more exclusively in the all Redskins video that will be coming out potentially before this one. And then we have John Randall, who came out as well, played through those solos, powered him up. He was by far much better, especially at rushing, than all the defensive tackles that I did have. And then at my second defensive tackle position, someone who I thought was one of the best, budget players before, like a super budget player. Now got into the upper budget range with Margus Hunt. Not necessarily the best rusher in the world, but being 6'8", 77 speed, he gets in the way and just makes things happen. Um, kind of this is kind of a weird thing to say, but kind of like a Terrell Suggs, he's just in the right place at the right time. Stats outside of a couple things don't necessarily show it, but he just shows up where he needs to. Then the backups, just a couple Redskins to try to boost that theme chem a little bit. Thankfully, we are up at 15. I thought we were at 13. So, yeah. At punter and kicker, pretty boring, but 82 since it's a Redskin, and I really try to focus on sniping a kicker on launch day to help me out a little bit. Hopkins just missed one too many field goals for me. It was a little bit frustrating. Then at punt and kickoff returner, Tyreek Hill. Once I get a half, I probably should move Lindsey here. I was going to say once I get a halfback with a little more speed, I should move them here. I did not have that since I had Hill there. Philip Lindsay, again, one of those overpriced players, but really like testing him out. He's one of the fastest running backs in the game. Marcus Allen would be an upgrade, but just with his price difference with Lindsay, I feel as if I can get that done, especially with running back by committee. After playing some head-to-head games and seeing full Marcus Allen a couple times, I think a little bit differently, but just need to work on my head-to-head scheme. Just played through way too many solos and challenges kind of towards the end of last year and this year. Just need to get back in that mode of not running the same few plays and making easy reads because there is a user there instead. Then at specialist, again, talked about Golden Tate, Jordan Reed coming out of the slot. Again, Golden Tate gets those boosted chems and abilities when he is in the slot, so make sure you are there. Third down back, McCaffrey and Lindsey. Lindsey's going to be a lot more dangerous now that Mahomes is on the team. McCaffrey is just absolutely phenomenal. Using Jim Brown's armbar and freight train once he does get to that. Just the ability to truck over people. He is someone I definitely would advise going after. I do need to flip these two ends. I like my best statted power and finesse move guy on the right end, and he's usually a little bit slower. And then my speed rusher on the left side because I can usually scheme up a little bit more quick pressure from that side. And I do have a Jerry Hughes hiding here and a Jerome Butler, a couple of budget guys. This Butler is actually really solid. Again, they're a little bit overpriced for a 78 overall, but being 6'2", 82 speed, like I said with that Montez Sweat, some of the best defensive backs in the game only have 2 speed. Then Anthony Barr, Shazier there. Slot corners, again, thought about switching that up. Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie is now in at slot cornerback 2, just in case I need someone. He's got pretty decent speed, and also being 6'2" helps out a lot. That was another big reason I decided to move Mel Blount back there. Definitely has the stats to play a safety with the hip power and tackle, but him and Ken Houston are both 6'3". Was able to acquire the Madden coach. I do have a little bit on that as well, so I potentially will cut that in here. Otherwise, we'll maybe just move on, depending on if I was talking exclusively about trophies. And I think that will pretty much do it. Very excited about the team. Again, wide receivers are the big place that I am looking to improve. If you have had any players that have played exceptionally well for you, definitely let me and the other no money spent players or money spent players, if they are still looking to build their team, and let us know who's been playing exceptionally well for you and plays potentially a little bit above their price range. But that is what we have for today. Wish you all the best, and I do apologize this was so long, but just wanted to give a more depth in view or overview of what I am doing and the team that I have put together so far. Wish you all the best and take care. Thank you for checking into the Irish Orangutan channel. Keep coming back for more Madden knowledge. There will be consistent videos up every week, so make sure to subscribe and hit the bell button to see them all. Come by Twitch to engage and hit me up on Twitter at Irish Orangutan. Take care and much love, everybody.